All right, welcome to day 2. So today's questions are going to be more specifically focused on biology. Question 1, which of the following is a major function of the large intestine? So we know that the intestines are important for things like digestion and absorption of foods. And so that's specifically more towards the small intestine, right? What does the large intestine do? Well, the large intestine is going to be absorbing up the water, and then whatever is left in the intestines basically gets eliminated as feces. And so that is why the large intestine's main function, right, is option choice D, to absorb water. Number 2, a bacterial cell wall performs all of the following functions except what? So A, giving shape and rigidity to the cell, that is something that it does, right? By having a cell wall, a thick cell wall, the cell now has this rigidity. B, being the site of action for some antibiotics, that is a true statement because some antibiotics, they will work by disrupting the cell wall. And if the cell wall cannot form properly, the bacterial cell can die. So B is true. C states being associated with some symptoms of disease. This is also true, right? Sometimes the bacteria, the cell wall, it might release, for example, its outer shell called the lipopolysaccharide membrane, and that can cause diseases, and in some extreme cases, even death. So that's a true statement. D states protecting the cell from phagocytosis. Phagocytosis basically means when one cell eats or engulfs something else. And so this is actually not a true statement because even though bacteria have these cell walls, other immune cells, for example, in your body, cells called macrophages, they can go and still eat up those bacteria cells. So D, right, is not going to, D in this case would be a true statement, would be false. It would not protect the cell from phagocytosis. E, helping identify the type of bacterium. This is a true statement. You have, for example, gram-negative bacteria with thin cell walls, or gram-positive bacteria with very thick cell walls. So again, right, the bacterial cell wall will perform all the following functions except option choice D, protecting that cell from phagocytosis. 3, which of the following is an example of divergent evolution? So it's important to understand, what does divergent evolution mean? Divergent evolution basically means that, in this tree of evolution, right, at one point, a species diverges into forming 2 new species, right? So let's say I have species 1, and now species 1 will diverge into forming species 2 and species 3. Species 2 and species 3, they both share a common ancestor, which was species 1, where they both came from. That is divergent evolution. And so with divergent evolution, that gives rise to what's called homologous structures. Homologous structures are structures that have similar skeletal arrangement, and that's because they shared common ancestors. So an example of this is like a human's arm, a cat's limb, a bat's wing, or a whale's fin, right? These are all examples of homologous structures. In the context of this question, the best answer choice should be here, E, the forelimbs of pigeons and dolphins, right? Although they seem, pretty different, that dolphins having forelimbs and the pigeons, but it does show that they once shared some sort of common ancestor. It's kind of a trivial question here by understanding these different examples. Number 4, which of the following is a feature of both fungi and bacteria? So A states the absence of a cell wall. That is false because they both do have a cell wall. B, the ability of some species to undertake photosynthesis. So that's not really true because some of the bacteria can do photosynthesis, but the fungi themselves, they do not. C, ability of some species to fix nitrogen. Again, some bacteria, they can fix nitrogen and they help plants grow, but fungi do not do that. D, the absence of internal membrane-bound organelles such as mitochondria. This is also false because although bacteria do not have mitochondria, fungi still do. E, the ability of some species to form symbiotic relationships with plants. This is a true statement because fungi and bacteria, they can form these symbiotic relationships with plants and help the plants grow. So 4 is E. Lastly, number 5, some sheep and cows are feeding in a field. Which of the following statements is not true? So A, cows and sheep are herbivores. So that is a true statement, right? They're going to be eating grass, for example. B, cows and sheep are consumers. that is also a true statement. What does it mean for something to be a consumer? That means you're going to be consuming or eating something, right? You're not making your own food by photosynthesis, but you're getting energy by eating something else. And so cows and sheep are in fact consumers. That is true. C, they are competitors. If you imagine cows and sheep were in a in a given plot of land, they would both be competing with each other for food, right? For eating the grass, for example. So that's a possibility. They could both be competitors. D states they are omnivores. Now that is a false statement. Why? Because cows and sheep, they're just herbivores. They do not eat meat, right? Omnivores meaning you're both a herbivore and a carnivore. But cows and sheep, they don't eat meat, so they cannot be omnivores. And then lastly, cows and sheep are ruminants. This is a true statement. They have a specialized stomach to ferment digested food. So again, for question 5, the correct answer should be D, because cows and sheep are not omnivores. They're just herbivores. All right, so that ends for our daily challenge, day 2. Thank you.